Hi, robotics. This is Miss Scholl coming at you from behind the screen. Would like to take a few minutes to talk to you about what we are going to do in robotics. Here is just some of what we are going to do in our after-school 21st century program. Makers, hackers, and robots, oh my! I want you to think about it. What does it mean to make something? Does it mean you make something that's inspired by something else? Do you work with your hands? Do you work with any other mediums or things like paint? What does it mean to make something? What do you think it means to be a maker? You've probably heard of terms makers and hackers. A maker is a person that makes or improves upon something technologically. A hacker is a person who makes, improves upon, or identifies software. Notice that both of these terms of people make. Here's an example of a young maker lady. And here's an example of a black hat, which is a not good hacker. A hacker not for good, but for evil. And there's a graphic that shows the difference between a black hat and a white hat. It doesn't really show the difference, but black is when a hacker does something like steal bank account information, and a white hat is a person that maybe hacks into the black hat's firm. There's a term I want you to know, and this is a term you're never going to hear in any of your other classes, but I want you to know it. There's a term called constructivism. Does anyone see a word that you know inside constructivism? What about construct? Constructivism is when you learn by doing, learn by making something. Here's some examples of constructivism. A banana piano with a makey-makey. Here's another version of some sort of piano. Okay. Using Play-Doh. Here is a strong structure. Let's maybe think about that when we're finishing our strong structures today. A robotic hand. Lego NXT. You'll notice that looks very familiar, minus the front little hockey stick. A LED flower. These are called LED throwies. All that they are LEDs and tape and hearing aid batteries. We can make those in 5 minutes. Now I want you to think about, how could I make versions of these that I'm interested in? You may not want to build exactly what I'm telling you to build. You can build your own version. Here's an example of squishy circuits. Here's an example of an Altoids tin that is used as a lie detector. That's an example of a possible project you could make in the makerspace. Here is a drone using pencils, a microcontroller, and 4 motors. A Lego design, just for fun, and aesthetics. Aesthetics is another good word. It's another good SAT word. Aesthetics are the way something looks. It may not necessarily bring function, but it is a form that is creative and, pretty or sassy or something fun. Here's an example of a maker project that I've seen, and it uses a makey-makey. That's what you see these alligator clips are for. Sorry, my little pop-up came up. They've used squishy circuits conductive dough, and when a marble rolls through this maze, it makes noises, and it lights up the LED lights when it goes to the appropriate places. These are some examples of a project that we may do. This is an origami lamp that uses conductive paint, an LED, and battery. Here's an example of a 3D printer. A 3D printer uses what's called a standard tessellation language to slice a 3D image that you, or not a 3D image, a 3D rendering of something that you design or find. It slices the image across, and then the 3D printer will print from the base up, laying down layers upon layers of plastic. But 3D printers can print more than just plastic. There are specific 3D printers that can print even food. There are 3D printers that can print cells. So we can take, in science, this is a science term, the law of conservation of mass or matter, and you can turn something that's in a spool into something extra meaningful. Can you think about how a 3D printer could be a way for you to make a robot using motors and actuators and sensors with 3D printed parts? How amazing is that? We will take a trip to the high school to see their 3D printer. There are lots of great projects, and those projects that I just showed you pictures of are not what you're limited to and all that we're going to do in class. Those are just some teasers to get your brains thinking about what it means to be a maker. Sometimes being a maker is just creating something that pleases you, or that you think is fun or funny. But there are some ground rules that I want you to observe, whether you are in the cafeteria, in the computer lab making video games, or in the makerspace in the library. I want you to observe always the golden rule. The golden rule is do unto others as you would have them do unto you, or treat people like you would like to be treated. Respect people, property, and principles. Not principles like Dr. Woodford and Mr. Trosper, even though you should expect them to because they're, or respect them to because they're people. Always respect everybody else, your peers around, your teachers that are taking time out of their day to be here with you, other people's property, the 21st Century Program's property, or your property, and then other people's ideas or principles. Being part of the maker movement is a privilege, not a right. I do not want to have to send people out, but if we have to, all of these teachers will. Document your preparation, plans, and progress. Notice I like the P's. Document your preparation, plans, and progress. So that means pictures. That may mean an entry in your maker notebook. And then finally, use tools right. That means everything from a screwdriver to perhaps a soldering iron to batteries. Always use the tools that we give you correctly. Or, number 3, the negative consequence you will see. Finally, I want you to understand that the makerspace and robotics and video game design is a partnership. Your inspiration and motivation are necessary to ensure that you have fun at Tech Thursdays. And I'm so looking forward to helping make your maker dreams come successful. What I want you to understand is that I want you to come in with ideas. What can you make to make your life easier? What could you create to make your life better? You don't have to make projects that I give you examples of. I want you to come to all of us teachers with ideas. So get creative, and we are so excited to get to know you better.